have to take Latin. I said, I don't want to take Latin. But, okay, you bring it to my house. So, Muda, we have to go to the principal's house. He has to talk to you. Well, Muda came outside. You take a Latin. Oh, boy. Okay, I took Latin. Second year, this new school had been built in Dundalk, beautiful school. We went there, and there were like about 13 Latin students, but then it was Greek to be had. Oh, not again. So, you blink, I said, no, forget it. So we went to that school, and I walked in the room of Mr. Van den Bussen, and there were two girls there, and me. I said, what the hell are the rest of them? 3 students, that's all we had. Everybody had quit. So anyway, we went through that. Our French teacher would take us on a nice trip. One time we went to the North Sea, which here they say the Channel. And one time we went to Brussels to see Santa Claus. We did not celebrate Santa Claus, only the cities. We had St. Martin. And St. Martin was November the 11th. And that's when you get presents. And then one time they took us to the south of France, of Belgium, I mean. And we stayed in a youth hostel. And there was a small river there, we would swim in there. We had a good time. So anyway, well, here was graduation time when we were like 15. And we went back to the old building where we first started out before the new school was built. And the old building, they had a huge area in the middle where we would have our a gym and we would eat our lunches. And me and a few other guys had to set up the tables and chairs. They gave us a few minutes extra off to do that. So now it's graduation time, and he says to my mother, he says, he's going to go to school to Brussels. So my mother says, Etienne, he wants you to go to school to Brussels. Well, that's like 18 miles away. I had to take a train. Okay, so we all gather on the stage, and the big curtain was hung there, you know, and we all gather up, and one guy fell down off the stage.
Yeah.
One guy.
One guy.
Our guy.
It was so funny. So anyway, he graduated, and so now I had to go to Brussels, and that's the kind of diploma they hand you off in Belgium. Wow. So when I came here, well, I'll talk about that later. So anyway, now I go to Brussels, right? And he gave my mom an envelope that I had to carry with me to the principal in Brussels. I don't know what was in it. Never did know. So I walked in the office, handed the envelope, and we started, you know, the school there in Brussels. But we only had school on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, half a day from 8 to 1:30. But I asked if me and another fellow asked if we could leave like 10, 15 minutes earlier, because if we didn't catch the train, we had to wait till 5 o'clock at night. So they let us off earlier, you know. But there was a French fries guy selling, you know, stand there, and we'd have French fries and in a nice cone, you know, oh, it was so good. And every time we got to the train, we had a pass for 90 days, like, or 6 months, I forgot, whatever it was, school pass to go on the train. And we get there, you know, the train was moving, you know, and it was the old-fashioned trains with the door. Open it up, you know, and the train would stop. I said, you know, to that friend, I said, boy, I said, one of these days they're going to raise hell with us. So anyway, we went to Brussels to school, and it was nice, you know. But we only stayed there one term, like December, and that was the end of it. And my dad says, well, let's go to the Belgian Congo. I have a partner to make cinder blocks. So my mom says, I'm not going to no Belgian Congo. So I says, well, let's go to America. Well, he had his brother there and 2 sisters. So we came. And that was the ship we came on, looked more like a yacht, a big yacht. Now, that ship came from Bremenhaven, it was way on top by Germany and the North Sea. And the boat we were supposed to be on was in a storm and was being repaired in France. So it never made it to England. So just our travel agent, Georgette, she says, oh, it says, we have a different boat coming from there to Southampton. You can take that one. Okay. So we took the ship from Ostende to Dover, and then we took a train to London, and then we stayed overnight. Then the following day we went to Southampton. In the morning we had breakfast at the railroad station. So we got on the ship, and they were all Germans. One family with 2 children was Belgian and a man, and the 3 of us. I have a picture, but I couldn't find it. Anyway, we get on the ship, and it was okay, you know, but I was sitting with a bunch of Germans, a family. My parents were way over there, and me and my dad slept in a cabin, and my mom slept with 2 girls, 2 ladies or girls in the cabin. So one time I'm walking, and I got to throw up. I got sick. And I ran in, that just happened to be WC, they call it, water closet. I ran in there, and there's this man mopping away like crazy. There's a bucket and bloop. Swinehund. Well, I told my dad, and my dad had been in concentration camp because he tried to escape Germany before the end of the war. And so anyway, we went down there, you know. The guy was lucky he wasn't there. He was gone. So anyway, another time we went up upper deck, and we got there and looking around. All of a sudden, sea Heil, all the women, men, sea Heil, holy shit, let's get out of here. Well, we arrived in Halifax, and the boat was practically empty except for the 4, 5, 8 people. Us. All the Germans were gone. Well, you know what they were? Nazis, Gestapos. They all ended up in South America.
Oh, wow.
Brazil and stuff like that, you know. And so anyway, but when they were doing the sea Heil, I said, oh God, my dear, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
So we came in New York, from Halifax we went to New York and got off the ship. And people ask me, where did you go? St. Ellis Island, or I don't know where we were. We were 15 and a half years old, I don't know. We were in this big, huge thing. Looked like a warehouse. And we walked in, you know, in suitcases, etc. And they opened them up, and the first thing they took was the candy with the liquor in it. Whoa, okay, we can't have it. So anyway, we passed, and everybody was healthy, and we got on a train. I think that might have been the same night yet, and traveled all night long to Detroit, Michigan Central. But going back to the war days, you know, when my dad was in the war, in Germany working, he used to smuggle. He got really good with the foreman. And the foreman always gave him extra furlough passes to go. And he would bring back coffee beans, and they loved it, and underwear for the ladies, you know, and they would hide them underneath the lid, you know, and they wouldn't, because the guards would come and check everything. Well, he noticed that they had chalk, different colors. So my dad, of course, being Belgian, he had different chalks. Red one, one marking, oh, let's fight it. Okay, go, you know, closed up, and away they went. So then they tried to escape from Germany, and with two guys from Haltert, and they were crying, so he let them go, the farmer caught him, and he said, oh, he says, I know someone who can take you across the border. And the guy came with a gun. You know, so my dad was taken to Dachau. So his job was with a bulldozer to dig trenches and put the bodies in. And sometimes he says they would take a hose and connect it to the window where the people were, the Jews, mostly probably, and kill them with the exhaust, you know. And sometimes it would burn them, and sometimes they hear screaming because people weren't dead. But people say, oh, what the heck, that didn't happen, you know. Well, it's like Eisenhower said, take enough pictures to show people that it really happened. Because some people say, oh, that never happened. Oh, yeah, that never happened, sure. So anyway, he ended up in Dachau, and he got in good with one of the guards, and he told him, says, you have to leave. because they're going to kill everybody. So it says, when that machine stops, it was a generator, which made electric, because they didn't have any more electricity going through except gasoline. And he says, get out of here. So he told the Frenchman and the Hollander, we got to get out of here, and they didn't dare to go. But so it was my dad says, it was really pitch dark that night, no mood. He escaped.
Wow.
He would hide during the day. I mean, he would hide during the day and walk at night. But he came to this farm and he saw the people make a cross. So he says, well, they must be nice people, religious, And he fell. And he woke up in bed and they were giving him some soup. So anyway, the farm was really nice, and they took his clothes off from the camp, and the man gave him some clothes that fortunately happened to fit. And they went to, so he gave him some money too, and they went, he said, I'll take you to the main highway. And a convoy went by, and he went like that, whatever, and stopped, and the guy says, don't say nothing, don't say a word. So my dad didn't speak at all, And he says, after a while, the man says, we have to get off now, and so they stopped and they got off. So he says, so he gave him some money, and my dad went back where he had come from, because the trailer was still there. It was kind of hanging this way from bombs exploding. And anyway, some English people came, soldiers, I don't know if it was English or Canadians or whatever, and he finally made it back to Belgium. And so then now going back to coming to the United States. So we get in the United States, and in Detroit, and there's my aunt and her husband Vic in a car, and we loaded up. And the first place we stopped was Green Oaks. But Green Oaks was a bar on Harper. I mean, here we travel all night, right? And it's okay. So we stopped, they had a few beers. Now the next stop was the Soppers. I said, and what is that 21 over there? Oh, you have to be 21 to be able to drink beer. So I'm only 15 and a half. Oh, that's a Belgian bar, they don't care. Okay. So there comes my uncle, who was divorced from my aunt, my dad's sister, Leontine, and a friend. So the friend was Van Horebeek and Willie, I don't know if you've heard of them. Anyway, he found us a house. Because my aunt, don't talk bad about people, she was a bitch. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. One time she said what a dummy I was. So I said, thank you. I said, I hear what a dummy I am. Now, I had to study 7 languages. How many did you study? She never said another word after that. But she made us pay for the phone we had just gotten there. Then she made us pay for the heating, half the heating bill. We're there a week or so. I mean, she was something else. And rest in peace. So anyway, he found us a nice house on Dry's Drive. But I had been going to Lakeview from February to like April maybe, and we moved to the South Lake area. And so I went to the office, said, well, I have to change my address because now we live on Dry's Drive. Oh, he says, you have to go to South Lake. I said, South Lake? What do I have to go to South Lake for? He says, that's a different district. I said, what do you mean district? I could speak English, I'm not done already. And I said, in Belgium, I can go anywhere. Heck, I was going 18 miles away to school, to Brussels, from where I lived. Well, I says, here it's different. So I went to South Lake, and they sent me back. So I said, well, Schaublen, his name was Schaublen. You remember Schaublen, maybe, over there? As a matter of fact, my son had Schaublen too. So I said, oh, Mr. Schaublen, here I am. And what happened? They threw me out. Told me to come back. Well, you owe $400. I don't have $400. So now what? Just, forget it. Okay, I had a real nice teacher, Mrs. Samuel, from the Samuel Nursery on Gratiot, and she would stay after school and work with me in English and stuff, And and sometimes she'd even drive me home. She was really nice. So then, as we came here, it was a total surprise of the forgotten country, United States. There was no transportation here. And as a father, why the hell did you ever bring us here for? You can't go anywhere. There was a bus on Mac and a bus on Warren, and there was a bus coming on Kirchhoffville up to 7 Mile Road, up to Mac to 9 Mile Road, 9 Mile Road to Jefferson, Jefferson to Deanhurst, and back, and that was the end of it. The rest of the time you had to walk. They had a lot of dirt streets, and I'd never seen, wooden homes. And I said, what the hell is this? Wooden homes. I mean, it's a shock, really. And, but, after a while, as we
What kind of
got
homes were you used to?
brick,
Brick.
Oh,
they have nothing
The
but
barns
brick.
were brick. Yeah.
All brick homes. Now, we do have cobblestones, they weren't all, but we had a lot of dirt roads here too. I remember Little Mac was half dirt, and some of the side streets were dirt. But anyway, as got older, so then we moved to Woodhall, which is Woodhall, Guilford, Blue Hill, Cadjo. So now I went to Southeastern, and I met 4 Belgian boys on the street, and one was German, and they're all dead, except me. It's amazing. I'm done one in life. All of them. So Southeastern was pretty good. Coming back to this thing here, when I went to Lakeview, I showed the principals, and said, oh my goodness, I never seen nothing like it. Well, they have them display cases. That's where it went. That's where it went. So anyway, going to Southeastern in the first year, I took Comp 1, and I was doing the homework, and I was getting 97, 98%, 100% on tests. And Mrs. Doyle, and she says, she says, you guys, or girls, boys, now this boy just came from Belgium a few months ago, and he's got all these 97, 98, 100% test on his test, and you guys have barely get 70. Oh, please don't do that to me. I mean, really, So, okay, Comp 2, same thing, Well, having had 7 languages, I know all the nouns and the verbs and adjectives, all that kind of baloney, So anyway, everything went really good. So they put me in they want to put me a year ahead at Lakeview. And I said, no, I don't want to go a year ahead. I want to go where my age group is. And I'm 15, and I should go there. Yeah, but look, I say, yeah, but I like to learn more English and all the little idiosyncrasies, like it's training cats and dogs, those kind of things. And I says, well, okay, go to the 10th. So what they did, they put me in the 10th grade and English in the 9th grade to learn more, which was nice. In Southeastern, I decided to take up a course in machine shop. And I really enjoyed the machine shop. Oh, the lathes and I said, and then I found out, die maker. I said, oh, well, I'd like to be a die maker. Even my thing says, that when you graduate, you got that book, it says your child wants to be die maker. It was on there. Became a die maker. But I was supposed to be more in bureau type stuff. Even the guy at Lakeview says, it's just we're going to have this, what they call that, what you're good in, they give you that test. Aptitude test. He says, we're going to take yours. I said, oh, brother, here they go again. So anyway, I don't remember anything happening. So my aptitude was more like, clerical, let's say. In Belgium, I probably would have been a doctor or something, But when coming here, I really enjoyed the machine shop, so that's what I wanted to do. And so I got hired into Chrysler. Well, first I worked as a landscaper, friend of ours in the country here. I was doing landscapes. So I just said, you can take over that job. So I did. Boy, my hands were full of calluses. Oh, God. And then I worked at Food Fair Market. Anybody remember Food Fair Market? A lot more in Mac. And the guy says, Mr. K, well, his name was Kajowski or something, the Polish name. And he says, gentlemen, you graduated, says, I want you to become a assistant manager. Not me, boy. I hated to work at a store. So one time I was putting stuff in the, the sugar. Matter of fact, it was sugar. I was going like this and putting up real nice, and there was some guy watching me. So all of a sudden, Etienne, the boss wants to see you, Mr. K. I said, oh, now what the hell do I do? Oh, okay, oh, this Mr. So-and-so, we shook hands. He says, oh, I says, I like the kind of work you do. And says, how much money you make? So I said, I got a dime raise. I got 80 cents, okay. So then he says, well, he says, after I was there about, 2 years or so, no, not quite, a year and a half. He says, well, he says, I want you to work right now, learn all the aisles, because I had a baking aisle. I really loved it. He says, I want you to start in where they had the soap and all the kind of stuff, And I said, don't put me there because I can't stand it. I sneeze. And says, I says, I want you to go there. I said, Mr. K, I will not be here Monday. You're going to be there. I said, Mr. K, I will not be here. Guess what?
You weren't there.
I wasn't there, was I? I had a job at A&P already. 93 cents.
There you go.
I was close to the house, 7 miles. I lived just a little ways down. They had to take a bus. So I was there for a while, and went and picked up my check. I never saw Mr. K again. So anyway, I didn't become a store manager either. And anyway, I worked there for a while, and then I said, well, I forgot his name. I remember it a little while. Well, anyway, doesn't matter what his name is. I said, I'm leaving. He says, I'm going to work in Gens Engineering. It's a job shop, and they make all kinds of stuff. Matter of fact, we made the first cone that went on the Sputnik that went up,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really nice. All out. And so anyway, I worked there for a while, and I told Paul Gens, Mr. Gens, I said, I would like to work at Chrysler, and I'd like to take some time off now and then to go to the office, which happened to be on Outer Drive, and Mr. Conlog. So I saw Mr. Conlog, and I said, I didn't know anybody. And you didn't get in unless you knew somebody. And everybody that worked at Werner Soft, where they made the dies, was, what kind of religion is that? Anyway, a lot of them were in that. Masons. They were all Masons. So I kept going back and forth, to that. And the girl finally said, oh, Jen, it's you. I said, I'm going to do something for you. 2 weeks later, they called me up.
Nice.
The post of Mr. Conlog. So they offered me a job, sheet metal model maker. I said, well, what's that? Well, you use air hammers. I said, I don't know. So I said, well, how about tool making or die making? I said, well, tool making, I want to be open up. A die making will open up in a couple of weeks. I said, okay, I like die making. So a few weeks later, I got hired in and never had to show my diploma from here. And I got hired in at Werner. A lot of boys were hired in at Macomb and Outer Drive. They didn't build dies. They only repaired dies. I was lucky to be where they built the dies, So I got in there, and no sooner I got hired in April and August, like appendicitis attack. I'm gone took 6 weeks, I think, to be off.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So then I got back, and then 50, I took 7 weeks off, went to Belgium. And I asked if I could take off. Oh, you going to visit your folks? I said, yes, they didn't know they were here. So I went to Belgium for 7 weeks. Oh. And I went to the World's Fair. And I went to see a girlfriend over there. But it didn't, things were gone. We were young, your mind changes. And I knew Judy, and Judy was the one. So anyway. But I worked at Chrysler for 41 years and 4 months. Yeah, I became a foreman there for a while, a couple of years, and I said, "This is BS." I said, "Keep it." So then they kept after me, come back. I said, I'm not coming back. I said, you had me once. I said, no, it's not worth the extra money. I had to work midnights. They promised I'd go on days. A year and a half went by, I'm still on midnights. I said, no way. And because I got sick once before, working afternoons, it attacked my, that controls your sugar, your pancreas. And so I was able to go on days after, and everything straightened right out. You know, mental induced illness, they call that. Yeah. And so I stayed at, I worked different places when I worked at Chrysler, when you got laid off, you know. And like one place, they wanted to keep me. And I said, well, do you have a job for me when I have to go in the Army in May? Will you have a job for me? Well, you know, it's summertime and, you know, it's slow and this and that. I said, I have to go back to Chrysler because they called me back. I'm going back and I stay with Chrysler. But I worked in different job shops, you know, when we got laid off. And, you know, like I say, the one guy, he wanted the shop on 10 Mile Road, they wanted to keep me. Hercules, I think it was 9 or 10 Mile Hercules, and die. And I said, no, it's not worth it. So I stayed with Chrysler. It was a good thing I did. But it was a good thing that I quit being a foreman too, because what happened was all these guys with less seniority were catching up to me. Because my seniority stopped as a diamond, you know. And I said, heck, when they catch up to me, I'll be on afternoons. And besides that, working midnights, and Judy would say, hey, honey, did you quit yet? I said, no. So one day I come home. Guess what? I quit. They quit Chrysler. No, so I quit being a farmer. I told them to shove it. So he says, oh, you can't do it. Talk to Mr. Eunice. I said, I don't have to talk to anybody. So then they even talked to Judy. One time we were at a party for one of the Loredon's daughters for her graduation. And Judy, you have to talk to Etienne. He has to come back. Well, Mike, what did Etienne say? He quit. That's what he did. Very simple, right? See? It doesn't take long. And, but anyway, we had good times, even at Chrysler. One time I was working with this Polish guy. He was working next line, and I was working on line 10. He was line 11 and 12. And we'd be dancing down the aisle. And here comes Mr. Now Mike, the superintendent. Yeah, they make the best of it.
Right, sure. Have some fun.
Always at work.
And I had a real good teacher. The Ruland was one of them. Vandenbus, that was the Latin teacher. And Beans, he was our gymnastic teacher. And then we had the priest, that's the priest here.
Oh, yeah.
And he would scare the hell out of us, you know, because here we go into a state school, right? Not a Catholic school. But you know, life was different here in the beginning. You know, I had to get used to it, the difference. No transportation in Belgium. We had buses, we had trains. Yeah. We had the trams, you know, go to take that tram and us, boom, plus, here we come. And it was fun. Walking in the, it was the North Station, yeah, the South Station, we called it Midi. But I always went to the North Station, and then from there I would walk down the Rue Neuf, the New Street, Nieuwstraat. And then I would walk there, and we'd pass the Beurs, you know, like the stock market. Belgium was the first country in the world to start a stock market. And I walked by there, and then I'd go to the Grand Place. You ever heard about the Grand Place? Right through there, you know. And then there was a street right there, and boom, there I was. Right across Manacapis was the school. and it was nice. And they would take us sometimes on a trip, you know, the school. One time we went to some place, and we all got a certificate. We belonged to aeronautics. And at the end of that school year, we all go on into an airplane, they said, and well, I was gone. And you know, then after a while, you know, we used to go horseback riding here, you know, and meet the boys on the street, you know, And it was fun. And then one guy got a car, and that helped us out, you know. And then I got a car, then my dad would let me drive it. It was a big, huge Buick Roadmaster convertible.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And 1949. And then I swapped it for a 51 Ford. And that Ford, 80 miles in second gear. Unbelievable.
Wow.
The guy had it all souped up. And then it became nice, you know, when you get your own car, you know, and when I went to, in 58, I went to Belgium, and boy, my hands were hurting. I didn't hear. What else from the doggone bike? I said, boy, not the reality.
And those cobblestones.
Yeah. But then the cobblestones, some of them were really neat. I mean, nice and even, just like a pavement. And so anyway, my dad, he, I don't know how many houses he bought and sold and fixed up, and there I am, I was helping him paint, you know. I became a real good professional painter.
So what your dad did when he came to the U.S. was
Well, he worked with my uncle, and my uncle was putting pipes on the ground. And one time they had a cave-in, and that was the end of it. So then my dad worked for Rulo, which was a plumbing company, and he worked there, and before you knew, he knew how to do things. And he worked with this one black man, and they really got along real good, you know, and that's what he did. And then he quit, and he started cleaning banks and offices, and buying and selling homes.
Yeah, like flipping homes, like what they flip nowadays, yeah.
Yeah. And so he worked there for quite a while. Sometimes on a Friday I would go help them upstairs. So the bank was on Jefferson, I forgot the street anyway. It's a different name now because we went by there not too long ago. And so anyhow, any questions?
Do you still have family in Belgium that you correspond with?
Yeah,
Cousins?
Jeff lives in Mayor, and then one cousin was from the 1600s. We communicate every week. Descendants. We all had the same great-great-father. Theophil and Morsel. I didn't know these people existed. It happened to be that I saw them. Desiree gave me a phone book I took with me, and I'm looking up the Elksens, and I start writing. And they answered, another guy answered. Alfonso, he passed away since, and now his wife is still alive. And so Theophil, we communicate, you know, and when we went to Belgium, we always made sure we saw him and his wife, and we'd go for dinner, and they'd take us to a place, a restaurant that was owned by family members of his. And we have good times. And Desiree would travel, you know, we'd go. And then he would come here. And, but what he was so amazed in was when I took him to the lakes, he says, "That's an ocean." I said, "Yeah." Even Lake St. Clair ain't that bad, you know, you can see across. But when we took him to Huron and then up above, you know, he says, "Oh my God," he says, "it's that big." And another gig he had, and something he really enjoyed was all the names of the different churches, and he would write them all down. Jesus the Lord, Fifth Avenue, you know, whatever, Sixth of this. You know. He says, "Man," I says, "you know, if you don't like the church, you can start your own." I said, "What?" He was smart. He was a school teacher, but a regent. Regent is a higher grade than a school teacher. And he kept track of everything. And we go to the casino. He made some money. So Judas says, "Put in a sock." So he did. So the following day we go to the restaurant, there he comes with the sock. And he says, "I am buying breakfast." And the girl comes and really empties that sock. And she looks, yeah, she says, "I told him to put in his sock in the coast, you know." Well, we had good times. And his daughter lived in Davis California for a while. She was a veterinarian, but she was going into a higher level of veterinarian. And they had a little boy, Iliam, and somehow one of the eye nerves got a lump on it and a tumor, and he became blind. He's still blind today. He's 16. She says he's 16 years old. I was talking to her a few days ago. But the daughter is good, and the other couple, the Israeli's other daughter, never married. The other one married, but they never had children. So we went to see Lizette 4 years ago, and I called her about a week or so ago and talked to her for a while. But anyway, it's coming here was a shock in a sense till you get used to it. The fact that you can't travel like we did in Belgium all over the place. You can go anywhere you're on the train,
Right.
no problem. Well, you found that out, right? And
And Cheryl's about to find it out.
Did you have
I don't-
any
Go ahead.
Did you have any preconceived notions about America before you came here? Like,
well, we knew more history than Americans do
oh, really?
about the United States.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
And the thing, my cousins, they came to visit me about 15 years ago, and they thought everybody carried a gun on them, no matter where they went.
Oh yeah.
They thought they were surprised
Yeah.
because we did a side trip to Chicago, and the mother, she was in her 80s at the time, and she was afraid of Al Capone because of all the violence there. They said, "Be careful when you're in
Oh, yeah.
Chicago." And,
Yeah.
of course, they were surprised that
Yeah.
it wasn't that bad. And
Oh yeah.
they were amazed at all the trees and
Well, we
Forest,
visited
yeah.
one friend, Gilbert, but he's got Alzheimer's. And he had a couple of young boys, about the age of my son at that time, when my son was 9, when we went the first time with Judy and the little one. And he says, "How many Indians did you shoot so far?" Huh? Sure, we shoot them all the time. I mean, but actually when I tell people about American history, well, how did you know it? They can't believe it, the history that we learn
Yeah.
in
Oh,
Europe.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And,
We take school a lot more seriously than the kids here do.
well, I tell you, it was nothing for me to stop at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, then get up by 5:30 and catch the train by 6:30 to go to Brussels. And then we didn't get home till about 5:30 or 6. And, you had a bookcase, a letter, full of books. And you had a log book where you write down for next week maybe, because some courses we only had once, like maybe biology. Gym was just about every day. Latin and Greek and French and English and German was every day. Well, no, German came in Brussels because since we didn't have school on Tuesday, till 1:30, they offered a course in German. And so I decided to stay over because being so close to Germany, And you didn't have to pass a test, just be there. So I learned some German there, I was off 2 weeks with a truck hit me that was delivering vegetables. And then we were leapfrogging and I got hurt and I couldn't walk. So they took me with a taxi to the train station. And I was home 2 weeks together. It's 4 weeks out of the few months I was, you do well. So I can't help it, but truck hits me. The man behind me, he was hit too. Yeah, but then afterwards, okay, But they kept asking me afterwards when I was here, well, how is the Namaya Khan doing, our friend in America? So, did you hear from him? Yeah, I got a letter. Okay, read it. They were interested, And then one time a guy needed a book. I said, I can get it from here, and I sent it to him. And we kept in contact. But then after a while, it disappears. I mean, they had their own thing to do. And
Same thing happens here.
Yeah.
Nothing stays.
What led you to the genealogy?
Pardon me?
What led you to genealogy?
A friend of mine at work, he was telling me about his genealogy, that he had people all the way back so-and-so and from Holland. And it's, oh my God, you know, and he lives in, up there someplace now. And I got interested. I said, oh my God, look at that, you know. So I started looking into it, and that's how I got started. Yeah, and now the teacher in a French teacher, he got interested in stamp collecting. So I got stamps, but when I went to see him, after I was here, I went to see him once, you know, and Dunt, his name was Dunt, the French teacher. And I went to see him, says, come on. And my God, he had a library, you know, all full of stamps. You know, albums, yeah. Unbelievable, the money. And he used to, my cousin used to make the suits for him.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I know him, I make suits for him. And that was Marcel Daggett's brother. And she's asleep. And anyway, so, you know, that's how, and then when I went to Denderleigh, I could, because of, there was, you know, I couldn't take some of the courses every day because of the Latin and Greek then. And some courses I missed, like in French. And so I would, and then typing too. Typing and the steno, you know, the shorthand. And so I took it on a Saturday. On Saturday in the evening, I would go to Denderleigh and go to school at night. And the teacher says, no, Etienne says, how do you go home? I said, well, I go that way. He says, well, can you follow me up to Alst and then go home? I said, sure. So her and I were right together because she was afraid at night, you know, on her bike, yeah. So that's how I learned shorthand and typing. When I came here, I was typing 100 words a minute. They couldn't believe it. And I had to look twice, you know. But it was fun. So I took typing. Simple reason I could read and learn more English. And then this girl, she was Belgian from Denderleigh, and she would help me, you know. Then she would take my book home and I say, hey, well, Charlotte, where's my book? Well, you don't need it. What do you mean I don't need it? No, she was a good one, so she didn't have to buy one, see?
I thought she wanted you to come and visit her.
No, she told me right away she'd never marry a Belgian. I said, good. So then afterwards I said, no, it says Monday. After she divorced, she says, you know, maybe I made a mistake. I said, maybe you did. I'm still married. And I said, I said, it's all my dad's fault. He says, he was such a person, unbelievable. He says, and he even threw her out of the house one time for a week or so. He was a character, I guess. And well, I said, oh, my Charlotte, she passed away since. And you know, the funny part, her name was Labie, L-A-B-I-E, and we had a teacher at Lakeview, Labie, but no connection.
Wow.
Yeah, unusual, you know. Yeah. Labie, and
Are you talking about Buffy?
Buffy.
yeah, she died.
Yeah, I know she died. You're
You said
talking,
Charlotte, that was,
Yeah.
Well, I would go home with her and eat lunch, and then we'd go back, you know.
right.
But she said, oh, I never want to marry a Belgian. I said, good, I don't want to marry you either.
And that's how they talked every time they got
I was gonna
together.
say, you were gonna have one continual fight if you two had married.
Oh, she was a year older anyway, so.
She's an old lady.
She got pushed back a year. See, I didn't. They wanted to push me ahead. Well, she went to the parish school in Denderleigh, nothing. But my Charlotte, and she had a brother and a sister, yeah, my threes, and Willie, never. My threes, I kept in contact with her for a while. She married a boy that I worked with at Chrysler, die maker. And so that's how we kept contact again. And really, I don't know what happened to him. But horseback riding was nice. And the first time I saw Judy, she was on a horse, and Hillard was one of the boys on the street of Woodhull. And he says, hey, Judy, you know, and the horse was eating the leaves of the tree. First time I saw her. And then she took off. You know, I didn't pay much attention. And then I saw a second time working at AMP. She was in the car, and I looked and said, oh, nice looking girl there. Yeah, we met.
What nationality is she?
Half-assed Belgian. Oh, she's German, Irish. She comes from the Nathan Hale family. You ever hear of the Hale family? She's related to that. And her grandma, Gigi, what do you call it, Gigi? Grace was invited to join the Daughters of the American Revolution. And she actually had a name like Lady, but they couldn't use that here, And they sold their title for a horse and buggy in Ohio. Now, I looked up the Hales. I cannot find anything from Ohio to Connecticut. But Connecticut's where they lived, and Hale was a preacher. He had like 5, 6 sons or so. And Nathan, he was stung up by the British, in 1777 or something, 97, something like that. So I never could find the connection. And in Belgium, I found all the way to 1600, but here it's hard. And then too, if a girl gets married, she loses her name.
Right.
And in Belgium, you keep the name. I know about the other countries probably the same way. And like when my mom got her check from Belgium, it would say Maria Matthijs, dash Elskens, And anyway, but after a while, it was nice to be here. I mean, I missed Belgium.
Could you have moved back? I mean, would
Well,
you have liked to?
I went back, like I say, in 71, and my dad was living there. They stayed for 5 years, my mother, and then they came back. And I said, let's go to the employment office. So we went, and he says, well, there's my son, and he's a dye maker, batterijzaakmaker, they call it. I said, well, we don't have much for dye making here. He says, when one dies, he says, so that one takes over. But he says, if he should come back, we have to train him. Because that's his birthright. I have to think on that. That's his birthright. Yeah. So, but I said, no. I mean, I could have gone back, but, with Julia, I had friends here, and, my cousins there and stuff, but once I was situated here in my work, am I going to start all over again over there somewhere? It wouldn't be hard to do, but still, what am I going to take up?
Did
Makes it
you
harder.
become a U.S. citizen?
Sure. I became citizen when I was 22.
So you said you had to fight in the war. Was it in Vietnam or which war was?
No, I didn't find anywhere.
Oh, I thought you said you were in the service.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
say
I did.
something.
Oh.
90-day wonder, they called me. They threw me out.
Oh.
I was too smart. No, what happened was dye makers, tool makers, and the people in the water department gave a special for 90 days. We had to go and serve, and then we were on, reserve.
Exempt.
And
They needed you on your job.
I never had to go to a meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It was kind of nice.
Yeah. I guess
90
so.
days. So I told this one guy, Uvalde, well, he died. Oh, everybody dies. I said,
Oh, well.
hey, Dick. I said, go sign up, man, 90 days only. Whoa. I said, okay. So 2 years later, he came back. I said, oh, what the hell did you get with your 2 days, with your 2 years? I said, you pay about $50 a month
Oh, my.
or whatever. So anyway, so Dick didn't want to go. And I had, 4 of us were 90-day wonders. One was from California, and 2 boys was from Ford, dye makers.
That's interesting. Are you considered a veteran?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
But I cannot have any
Benefits?
benefits.
Okay.
You
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering.
know, but who needs it? I
Yeah.
mean,
You probably got a good
I get-
pension from Chrysler.
I get my hearing aid free from Chrysler anyway. I mean, the UW. I mean, I went and said, yeah. The funny part is Miracle-Ear, that's where I go, and I paid like $4,000 some, And he says, well, you should have another one. And so I went to a different place to check it out. He says, we don't need one there, just here a little bit. You're a little bit weak there, And one time, it's true, I didn't work for 3 weeks and I had to go for a test. And, they give you a test of it. And he says, boy, what's happening to your hearing? So I wear it all the time now. But then, so then it broke, that little thing here broke, It's plastic connected to, I think it's copper, and it doesn't, so it broke. $180, I said, oh heck, forget it. And so, okay, forget it, so I didn't pay for it. So next time it broke, not even a year, so it broke again. Yeah, it'd be $200 and some dollars, so heck, I can get a free one at UAW. Well, we have free ones. Well, why didn't you tell me that before?
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you.
And it's better than the one I paid money for. I got adjustments of all kind, yeah. Oh, yeah, so they want to make money, that's it. Anyway. But you worked for,
No, I worked at St. Joe's and at Beaumont doing medical transcription.
oh, I thought you worked for a big three.
No, my sister, she worked for Ford's, and my
Okay.
brother-in-law worked at Chrysler's back in the day, but,
No, I felt good having worked for Chrysler. Pension is good. We worked 6-7 days, 12 hours a day. Sometimes I hated 12 hours. Oh God, did I did. 10 hours was plenty. But the education, like I said, it's different. The system, you have your primary with the nuns. I don't know about today how it works today, and then you have your middle. Where I went to Dendele, and then I had to go for the last 3 years to Brussels. Now, my friend is right here, went to Ulster Catholic school, because, they were very religious, so he had to go to a Catholic school. I said, well, go with me to Brussels. No, my mama wants to go, okay. So, well, he did
You were
okay.
probably going to something like a community college level compared to the high school, the
No, he went to high school, like here. I mean, afterwards. Yeah. I mean, he went to the high
Belgium.
school. No, that's like a high school, the last 3 years, you start at 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 1 is when you finish. Okay? So I only did half of the third because I came here. And then afterwards, you have to go to university, college, whatever. Now, when you go to the university and college, they have good times sometimes. One time, the students took over the castle in Ghent. And nobody could get it.
oh, that's too funny. I was in that castle.
In Ghent, yeah. The half. And I said, boy, I missed a lot that way.
Well, they have universities in Louvain too, don't they? I say that wrong.
Leuven, yeah, that's one of the oldest ones.
Yeah.
Ghent's good, Leuven
Ghent
is
is
very good. A lot of kids go to Ghent and Leuven. Louvain is French. We don't speak French. That's the other side. Matter of fact, it's split up the university for the French-speaking ones and the Flemish-speaking ones, or the Dutch-speaking ones.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
They kept complaining, that's all, get out of here. So they built another school for them. They did.
I know, my cousins, I said that the Walloons are the politicians and the Flemish are the workers.
You're right, because I met a guy on where the hell was it? Coming back on the plane, yeah. And I was talking to him, he says, I'm Walloon, He says, the Walloons, they're lazy. I said, yeah. He says, yeah, the Flemish, those are the workers. So I said, so what do you do? I never go back. Well, he married a black girl, and that probably didn't sit well, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
His family, And she was a nice lady, I met her too, They came to Detroit somewhere, I don't know where they went. And then there was another student from India, and he was sitting next to me on the plane coming back in 58, and he says, I'm a little bit dark. He says, do you think people? I said, don't pay no attention, what are you talking about, No, Americans are nice people. They don't talk to anybody, but they're nice.
When my sister went to Belgium, the cousins that she visited, they were surprised that she talked to everyone.
Yeah.
She was having a conversation with anybody that could speak English, and my cousins were like,
she talked to everyone. Why does she talk to people she doesn't even know? That's just the way she is. And
No,
she works in a hotel, so she's used
no,
to
it's
talking to
not
people.
that. When you see somebody on the street, you always say, goeiedag, good day,
Yeah.
regardless who it is. Goeiedag, oh, goeiedag. And when I walk into a place, let's say I go to, for my teeth, let's say, I walk in, the people are sitting there, nobody says a word. I say, well, good morning, everybody. And then it's like, they're in shock.
At the
You
dentist.
know? I said, I told them. I said, it's funny about you people. I was born in Europe, but I'm American for the last 60-some years. But when I walk into a room, I say hello to everybody. You people, just nobody moves. Why? Are Americans that scared of each other or what?
Heads are down all the time.
Hey?
Heads are
I
down.
always say
Heads
hi
are
to
down,
they
well,
don't-
they're
they don't-
home.
Yeah.
Every time I walk in, that's all. Good morning, good afternoon. And they look, shock, But that's how we were brought up. You say good day to everybody. And that's the way it should be.
Yes, it is.
Talk.
Thank you very much, Etienne.
Yeah, it's done after.
We really appreciate you talking.
Yeah.
It was very
Very
nice.
nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. A few things.
Hey, everybody has them.